The Da Vinci Code is a 2006 mystery thriller film directed by Ron Howard, written by Akiva Goldsman, and based on Dan Brown's 2003 novel of the same name. The first in the Robert Langdon film series, the film stars Tom Hanks, Audrey Tautou, Ian McKellen, Alfred Molina, Jürgen Prochnow, Jean Reno, and Paul Bettany. In the film, Robert Langdon, a professor of religious symbology from Harvard University, is the prime suspect in the grisly and unusual murder of Louvre curator Jacques Saunière. On the body, the police find a disconcerting cipher and start an investigation. Langdon escapes with the assistance of police cryptologist Sophie Neveu, and they begin a quest for the legendary Holy Grail. Sir Lee Teabing, a noted British Grail historian, tells them that the actual Holy Grail is explicitly encoded in Leonardo da Vinci's wall painting The Last Supper. Also searching for the Grail is a secret cabal within Opus Dei, an actual prelature of the Holy See, who wish to keep the true Grail a secret to prevent the destruction of Christianity. The film, like the book, was considered controversial. It was met with especially harsh criticism by the Catholic Church for the accusation that it is behind a 2,000-year-old cover-up concerning what the Holy Grail really is and the concept that Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene were married, producing a daughter, as well as its treatment of the organization's Priory of Zion and Opus Dei. Many members urged the laity to boycott the film. In the book, Brown states that the Priory of Zion and all descriptions of artwork, architecture, documents, and secret rituals in this novel are accurate. The Da Vinci Code premiered as the opening film of the 59th Cannes Film Festival on May 17, 2006, and was theatrically released in the United States on May 19. The film received generally negative reviews from critics, but was a commercial success, grossing $224 million in its worldwide opening weekend and a total of $760 million worldwide against a $125 million production budget, becoming the second highest grossing film of 2006, as well as Howard's highest grossing film to date. It was followed by two sequels, both directed by Howard, Angels and Demons, 2009, and Inferno, 2016. Plot: Louvre curator Jacques Saunière is pursued by Silas, an albino Catholic monk who demands the location of the keystone to find and destroy the Holy Grail. Saunière gives him a false lead and is murdered. The police find his body posed like Da Vinci's Vitruvian Man. Police Captain Bazafach summons Robert Langdon, an American symbologist who is in Paris for a lecture on the interpretation of symbols, to examine Saunière's body. Langdon is shown the body and a secret message, readable only by UV light. It contains an out-of-order Fibonacci sequence. Police cryptographer Sophie Neveu, Saunière's granddaughter, says that Fach planted a tracker on him after finding the words "P.S. Find Robert Langdon" at the end of Saunière's secret message. Fach believes that Langdon murdered Saunière. Sophie throws away the tracker, distracting the police while they sneak around the Louvre, finding more clues in Leonardo da Vinci's works. Langdon deduces that Saunière was the Grand Master of the Priory of Zion. Silas works for an anonymous person referred to as the Teacher, along with members of Opus Dei, led by Bishop Aringarosa. He travels to the church as directed by Saunière and finds a marker with Job 38:11 inscribed in it, a Bible verse that begins, "Here you shall come, and no farther." Enraged, he kills the nun in residence. Langdon and Sophie travel to a French bank and access Saunière's safe deposit box by using the Fibonacci sequence. Inside is a cryptex, a cylindrical container that contains a message on papyrus. It can only be opened without destroying the contents by turning dials to spell a code word. As the police arrive, bank manager André Vernet helps Langdon and Sophie escape, then attempts to steal the cryptex and murder them. Langdon and Sophie escape with the cryptex. They visit Langdon's friend, Sir Lee Teabing, a Holy Grail expert. Teabing claims that the Grail is not a cup but instead is Mary Magdalene. He says that she was not a prostitute but the wife of Jesus Christ. Teabing argues that Mary was pregnant during Jesus' crucifixion, and the priory was formed to protect their descendants. The Opus Dei have been trying to destroy the Grail to preserve the Vatican's credibility. Later, Silas appears, but Teabing disables him by striking the leg bound by a Silas, a metal device used to appropriate the lashing of a whip, in deference to Christ's torture. The group escapes to London using Teabing's private plane, along with his butler, Remy Jean. Their interpretation of a clue hidden in the cryptex box leads them to the temple church, where they find nothing. Remy, who claims to be the teacher, frees Silas. Remy takes Teabing hostage, dumping him in the car trunk, and taking Silas to hide out in an Opus Dei safe house. Teabing, the actual teacher, later poisons Remy and sends the police after Silas. Police shoot Silas after he accidentally wounds Aringarosa, who is arrested by Fatch, who resents being used to hunt Langdon. Teabing, who wants to bring down the church for centuries of persecution and deceit, confronts Langdon and Sophie. Now understanding the true meaning behind the clue to unlocking the cryptex, the trio goes to Westminster Abbey to the tomb of Isaac Newton, a former Grand Master of the Priory. Teabing demands that the pair open the cryptex. Langdon tries and seemingly fails before tossing the cryptex into the air. Teabing dives for and catches it, but the vial breaks and the papyrus is thought destroyed. The police arrive to arrest Teabing, who realizes that Langdon must have solved the cryptex's code and removed the papyrus before throwing it. The code was Apple, after the apocryphal story of the apple which led Newton to discover his law of universal gravitation. The clue inside the cryptex, which tells of the Grail hiding neath the rose, leads Langdon and Sophie to Rosslyn Chapel in Scotland. Inside the chapel, they discover a secret room where Magdalene's tomb has been removed. Langdon, after searching through documents, realizes that Sophie's family died in a car crash, that Saunier was not her grandfather but her protector, and that she is the last descendant of Christ. The two are greeted by members of the Priory, including Sophie's grandmother, who promises to protect her. Langdon and Sophie part ways, the former returning to Paris. While shaving, Langdon cuts himself and has an epiphany when his blood curves down the sink, reminding him of the rose line. Realizing the true meaning of the cryptex clue, he follows the line to the Louvre, concluding that the Grail is hidden below the pyramid in Versailles. Langdon kneels atop it. Mary Magdalene's sarcophagus is in a secret underground chamber. Cast: Tom Hanks as Robert Langdon, Audrey Tautou as Sophie Neveu/Princess Sophie St. Clair, Ian McKellen as Sir Lee Teabing, Alfred Molina as Bishop Aringarosa, Jurgen Prochnow as André Vernet, Jean Reno as Police Captain Bazafach, Paul Bettany as Silas, Hugh Mitchell as young Silas, Etienne Chiquet as Lieutenant Jerome Collett, Jean-Yves Bertloot as Remy Jean, Jean-Pierre Mariel as Jacques Saunier, Charlotte Graham as Mary Magdalene, Seth Gable as Michael the Cleric, Marie-Françoise Audalent as Sister Sandrine, Francesco Carnlutti as Prefect, Rita Davies as Elegant Woman at Rosslyn, Dennis Podalides as Flight Controller. Author Dan Brown and his wife make cameos, forefront, in the first scene of the book signing scene. The Templar Revelation authors Lynn Picknett and Clive Prince make a brief appearance as passengers on a bus. Production. Development. The film rights were purchased from Dan Brown for $6 million. Bill Paxton was the director Ron Howard's first choice for the role of Robert Langdon, but had to decline as he was beginning filming for the television series Big Love. Howard approached Ricky Gervais for the role of Remy Jean, but he turned it down due to the fear of him ruining the film. Akiva Goldsman wrote the screenplay for the film. Goldsman previously worked with Howard on A Beautiful Mind, 2001, and Cinderella Man, 2005. 6. Filming. Filming had been scheduled to start in May 2005, however, some delays caused filming to begin on June 30, 2005. Citation needed. The filmmakers shot many of the inside scenes at Pinewood Studios 7. The opening sequence in the cavernous 007 stage at Pinewood Shepperton, where the interior of the Louvre was recreated. 8. In this sequence, Hank's character is taken by French police to the Louvre, where a dead body has been discovered. David White of Altered States FX, a prosthetics and special makeup effects company, was tasked with creating a naked photorealistic silicone body for the scene. Lighting effects were utilized to obscure the body's genitalia, a technique also used on television programs such as NCIS. 9. Pinewood's state-of-the-art underwater stage was used to film underwater sequences. 7. The stage opened in 2005 after 4 years of planning and development. The water in the tank is filtered using an ultraviolet system, which creates crystal clear water, and the water is maintained at 30 degrees Celsius, 86 degrees Fahrenheit, to create a comfortable environment to work in for both cast and crew. 10. Alternative versions of Bettany's nude flagellation scenes were shot, in which he wears a black loincloth. Clips of these versions appear in the History Channel's Opus Dei Unveiled documentary, broadcast in summer 2006. Location: the Louvre gave permission to film relevant scenes on its premises. A replica of the Mona Lisa was used during filming as the crew was not allowed to illuminate the original work with its lighting. During the on-site filming at the Louvre, the Mona Lisa's chamber was used as a storage room. Westminster Abbey denied the use of its premises, as did the Church of St. Sulpice. The Westminster Abbey scenes were instead filmed at Lincoln and Winchester Cathedrals 11, which both belong to the Church of England. Westminster Abbey is a royal peculiar, a church or chapel under the direct jurisdiction of the monarch, while St. Sulpice is a Roman Catholic institution. Due to the denial of a location permit for St. Sulpice 12, the entire scene had to be recreated virtually by post-production company Rainmaker UK, and though the set had been partially built, the coordinates were centimeters out from what the compositors had expected, and so the entire process was extremely difficult to complete. 13. Lincoln Cathedral reportedly received £100,000 in exchange for the right to film there. Filming took place August 15, 2005, mainly within the cloisters of the cathedral. The cathedral's bell, which strikes the hour, was silent for the first time since World War II during that time. Although it remained a closed set, protesters led by a 61-year-old woman named Sister Mary Michael demonstrated against the filming. She spent 12 hours praying on her knees outside the cathedral in protest against what she saw as the blasphemous use of a holy place to film a book containing heresy. 14. Winchester Cathedral answered criticism by using its location fee to fund an exhibition, lecture series, and campaign to debunk the book. 15. The scenes for the Pope's summer residence, Castel Gandolfo, were filmed on location at Belvoir Castle in Leicestershire, England. Shoreham Airport in West Sussex, England, was used as a filming location, with its Art Deco terminal building utilized in a night shoot for the scenes at Le Bourget Airport. 16. Filming also took place elsewhere in the United Kingdom. 17 locations included the King's College London campus, Fairfield Halls, Croydon, the Temple Church, London, Burleigh House, Lincolnshire, and Rosslyn Chapel and Rosslyn Castle, Midlothian, Scotland, make an appearance at the final part of the film. Music. Main article, The Da Vinci Code, soundtrack. The film's music was composed by Hans Zimmer, whose work resulted in a nomination for the 2007 Golden Globe Award for Best Original Score. Release. The Da Vinci Code premiered at the Cannes Film Festival on May 17, 2006. According to the Associated Press, the film received negative reactions from critics at the festival. A line spoken by Tom Hanks drew prolonged laughter and some catcalls, and near the end of the screening, there were a few whistles and hisses, and there was none of the scattered applause even bad films sometimes receive at Cannes. 18. Marketing. The film's teaser trailer was released in May 2005, 19 a year before the film's worldwide release and prior to the start of filming. 20. A cross-promotion appeared on The Amazing Race 9, where one team earned a trip to the film's premiere in Hollywood, California. However, as a result of scheduling conflicts after the season finale aired, the team was unable to attend the premiere of the film, which had moved from Hollywood to the Cannes Film Festival. 21. Reception. Critical response. On the review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes, 25% of 231 critics' reviews are positive, with an average rating of 4.8/10. The website's consensus reads, "What makes Dan Brown's novel a bestseller is evidently not present in this dull and bloated film adaptation of the Da Vinci Code." 22 Metacritic, which uses a weighted average, assigned the film a score of 46 out of 100, based on 40 critics, indicating mixed or average reviews. 23 audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of B+ on an A and to F scale. 24. The film was poorly received at the Cannes Film Festival, where it debuted. 18 Michael Medved gave the film a negative review, calling it an attack on religion. 25 Anthony Lane of The New Yorker addressed the concerns of Catholics in his film review, stating that the film is self-evident, spirit-lowering tripe that could not conceivably cause a single member of the flock to turn aside from the faith. 26 In his movie guide, Leonard Maltin called the film a letdown in every respect. 27 Director Howard noted that the overwhelmingly negative reviews were frustrating to him. 28. Conversely, Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times, who had spoken very negatively of the novel, gave the film 3 out of 4 stars, writing, "The movie works, it's involving, intriguing, and constantly seems on the edge of startling revelations." Of the storyline, he also commented, "Yes, the plot is absurd, but then most movie plots are absurd. That's what we pay to see." 29 Lawrence Topman of the Charlotte Observer, who also liked the film, gave it 3.5 out of 4 stars and noted, "Unlike most Hollywood blockbusters, this one assumes audience members will be smart." 30. Although many critics gave mixed to negative reviews of the film, critics praised the performances of McKellen as well as Bettany. 31. On the Worst Movies of 2006 episode of the television show Ebert and Roeper, January 13, 2007, guest critic Michael Phillips, sitting in for the recovering Roger Ebert, listed the film at number 2. 32 The film earned a Razzie Award nomination for Ron Howard as Worst Director but lost to M. Night Shyamalan for Lady in the Water. Box office. Opening weekend. The film opened with an estimated $31 million in box office sales on its opening day, averaging $7,764 per screen. 33 During its opening weekend, moviegoers spent an estimated $77 million in the United States and Canada, and $224 million worldwide. 34 The Da Vinci Code is the best domestic opening for both Tom Hanks and Ron Howard. 35. It also enjoyed the third biggest opening weekend for that year, after Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest and X-Men, The Last Stand, and the second biggest worldwide opening weekend ever, just behind Star Wars, Episode III Revenge of the Sith, 2005. 36. This event has led some critics, particularly in the United Kingdom, to moot the idea of the critic-proof film. 37. Ranking and gross. The Da Vinci Code debuted at number 1 at the North American box office, grossing more than $111 million in its first week. 2 On June 20, it became the second film of 2006 to pass the $200 million mark in North America. 34 It had the fifth highest gross of 2006 in the United States and Canada and grossed $758 million worldwide, the second highest total of 2006. 34 Its worldwide total made it the 21st highest grossing film of all time at the time, and the highest grossing film in the franchise. It also surpassed the 12-year-old record of Forrest Gump as the highest grossing film of Tom Hanks's career. It was surpassed by Toy Story 3 in 2010. Censorship. The film was banned in a number of countries, including Syria 38, Belarus 39 and Lebanon 40. In Jordan, authorities banned the film, claiming it tarnishes the memory of Christian and Islamic figures and contradicts the truth as written in the Bible and the Quran about Jesus. 41. In Iran, it was banned due to protests by Muslims and Christian minorities. 42. Australia. The film was not banned in Australia, and has been classified M, mature, by the Australian Classification Board, ACB. However, One Cinema, the entrance cinema in the suburb of the entrance on the New South Wales Central Coast, refused to screen the film due to its depiction of the Catholic Church. Then cinema manager Denton Wright said that the ban reflected the beliefs of the cinema's owners, a small Catholic family with socially conservative religious views. However, Apostolic Nuncio Archbishop Ambrose de Pauli stated that he did not believe the film would change people's perceptions of Christianity, and that it may awaken people's curiosity about the religion, which may be a positive thing. 43. China. Although the Da Vinci Code was passed by Chinese censors, it was abruptly removed by authorities from public view in mainland China, after a remarkable run, grossing over $13 million, 44 because of protests by Chinese Catholic groups. 45. Egypt. Both the book and the film were banned in Egypt due to pressure from Coptic Christians. Some Muslims compared the film to the Danish cartoons that had caused controversy earlier that year. 46. Hafez Abu Sidah, of the Egyptian Organization for Human Rights, said, "This violates freedom of thought and belief. This is fiction. It's art, and it should be regarded as art." 47. Faroe Islands. The biggest cinema in the Faroe Islands, Havner Bio, decided to boycott the film, effectively blocking it from the other smaller cinemas, which rely on second-hand films from this source. Its CEO, Jacob Eli Jacobson, said that he fears losing the operating license if it exhibits blasphemy in the cinema. 48. A private initiative by the individual Herluf Svensson arranged the film to be played, despite the boycott by Havner Bio. The film played at the Nordic House in the Faroe Islands from June 8 to 9, 2006. 49. India. There was a huge outcry in many states by the Christian and the Muslim minorities to ban the film from screening in India for its perceived anti-Christian message. Possibly the largest reaction occurred in Kolkata, where a group of around 25 protesters stormed Crossword Bookstore, pulled copies of the book from the racks and threw them to the ground. On the same day, a group of 50-60 protesters successfully made the Oxford bookstore on Park Street decide to stop selling the book until the controversy sparked by the film's release was resolved. 50. The film was allowed to be released without any cuts but with an A, adults only, certification from the Central Board for Film Certification and a 15-second disclaimer added at the end stating that the film was purely a work of fiction. 51. The Supreme Court of India also rejected petitions calling for a ban on the film, saying the plot which suggested Jesus was married was fictional and not offensive. 52. The film was totally banned in some states with significant Muslim and Christian populations such as Punjab, Lakshadweep, Goa, Meghalaya, Nagaland, Mizoram, Jammu and Kashmir, Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh. 53. The Andhra Pradesh High Court subsequently reversed the state government's order banning the screening of the film in the state. The state government had previously banned the film based on the objections lodged by Christians and Muslims. 54. Pakistan. Pakistan banned the Da Vinci Code for showing what officials called blasphemous material about Jesus. Christian groups, along with the Muttahida Majlis-e-Amal, held protests against the film calling for a global ban. 55. Philippines. Main article, The Da Vinci Code in the Philippines. The Philippine Alliance Against Pornography, POP, appealed to then Philippine President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo to stop the showing of the Da Vinci Code in the Philippines. They branded the film the most pornographic and blasphemous film in history. 56. And also requested the help of Pope Benedict XVI, the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines and other religious groups to stop the showing of the film. 57. However, Cecile Guidot Alvarez, Philippine Presidential Advisor on Culture and the Arts, said the Philippine government would not interfere in the controversy about the film and would leave the decision to the Movie and Television Review and Classification Board's rating. 58. Eventually, MTRCB decided to give the Da Vinci Code an R18 rating, restricted to those 18 years of age and above, despite POP's opposition to showing it. 59. Samoa. The film was banned outright in the independent state of Samoa after church leaders watching a pre-release showing filed a complaint with film censors. 60. Solomon Islands. The Prime Minister of Solomon Islands, Manasseh Sogavare, said he would seek to have the film banned in his country, as it might threaten the Solomons' predominantly Christian faith. "We profess Christian religion in the country, and that film that depicts some thoughts about this person called Jesus Christ that Christians adore as not only as a good man, but was himself God, and such a film basically undermines the very roots of Christianity in Solomon Islands." 61. Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka also banned the film from being released. 62. It was banned by presidential order of Mahinda Rajapaksa after the Catholic Bishops' Conference made an appeal through an epistle. 63. Thailand. Christian groups in this mostly Buddhist country protested against the film and called for it to be banned. On May 16, 2006, the Thai Censorship Committee issued a ruling that the film could be shown, but that the last 10 minutes would be cut. Also, some Thai subtitles were to be edited to change their meaning, and passages from the Bible would also be quoted at the beginning and end of the film. However, on the following day, Sony Pictures appealed against the ruling, saying it would pull the film if the decision to cut it was not reversed. The censorship panel then voted 6-5 that the film could be shown uncut, but that a disclaimer would precede and follow the film, saying it was a work of fiction. 64. Protests and other reactions. There were protesters at several film theaters across the United States on the opening weekend protesting about the themes of the film, calling it blasphemy and claiming that it shamed both the Catholic Church and Jesus Christ himself. More than 200 protesters also turned out in Athens, Greece, to protest against the film's release shortly before opening day. 65. In Manila, the film was banned from all theaters by the local MTRCB as an R18 film for the Philippines. Citation needed. In Pittsburgh, protesters also showed up at a special screening of the film the day before its widespread release. 66. Protests also occurred at the filming sites, but only a monk and a nun stood in a quiet protest at the Cannes premiere. 67. In Chennai, India, the film was banned for 2 months as a precaution against possible communal tensions. 68. The Vatican. At a conference on April 28, 2006, the Secretary of the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, a Vatican Curial Department, Archbishop Angelo Amato specifically called for a boycott of the film. He said that the film was full of calumnies, offenses, and historical and theological errors. 69. Cardinal Francis Aarons, in a documentary called The Da Vinci Code, A Masterful Deception, urged unspecified legal action against the makers of the film. He was formerly prefect of the Congregation for Divine Worship and the Discipline of the Sacraments in the Vatican. 70. Opus Dei. Stating that it does not intend to organize any boycotts, Opus Dei, the Catholic organization that is featured prominently in the novel and the film, released a statement on February 14, 2006, asking Sony Pictures to consider editing the soon-to-be-released film so that it would not contain references that it felt might be hurtful to Catholics. The statement also said Brown's book offers a deformed 71 image of the Church and that Opus Dei will use the opportunity of the film's release to educate about the Church. On Easter, April 16, 2006, Opus Dei published an open letter by its Japanese information office mildly proposing that Sony Pictures consider including a disclaimer on the film adaptation as a sign of respect towards the figure of Jesus Christ, the history of the Church, and the religious beliefs of viewers. The organization also encouraged the studio to label the film as fictitious clearly and that any resemblance to reality is pure coincidence. 72. According to a statement by Manuel Sanchez Hurtado, Opus Dei Press Office Rome 73, in contrast to Sony Corporation's published Code of Conduct, the company had announced that the film would not include such a disclaimer. American Catholic Bishops. U.S. Catholic bishops launched a website, JesusDecoded.com, refuting the critical claims in the novel that were about to be brought to the screen. The bishops were concerned about what they said were errors and serious misstatements in the Da Vinci Code. 74. The film has also been rated morally offensive by the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops' Office for Film and Broadcasting, which denounced its depiction of both the Jesus-Mary Magdalene relationship and that of Opus Dei as deeply abhorrent. 75. Peru. The Peruvian Episcopal Conference declared the film and the book as part of a systematic attack on the Catholic Church. 76. Furthermore, the Archbishop of Lima, the Cardinal and member of Opus Dei Juan Luis Cipriani, urged his community not to see the film. If someone goes to see the film, they are giving money to those who hurt the faith. It's not a problem of fiction. If truth is not respected, what arises we could call white glove terrorism. 77. People with albinism. The National Organization for Albinism and Hypopigmentation, NOAA, as well as individuals with albinism have criticized the film's perpetuation of unrealistic and negative stereotypes about people with albinism with the character Silas, citing a long-standing trend of the film industry of depicting albinos as villains. 78, 79, 80, 81. Cast response. Tom Hanks response. Hanks told the Evening Standard that those involved with the film always knew there would be a segment of society that would not want this film to be shown. But the story we tell is loaded with all sorts of hooey and fun kind of scavenger hunt type nonsense. He said it was a mistake to take any sort of film at face value, particularly a huge budget motion picture like this. 82. He also said at the Cannes Film Festival that he and his wife saw no contradiction between their faith and the film, as my heritage, and that of my wife, suggests that our sins have been taken away, not our brains. 67. Ian McKellen's response. Also at Cannes, McKellen was quoted as saying, "While I was reading the book, I believed it entirely. Clever Dan Brown twisted my mind convincingly. But when I put it down, I thought, what a load of pause potential codswallop." 67. During a May 17, 2006, interview on the Today Show with the Da Vinci Code cast and director, Matt Lauer posed a question to the group about how they would have felt if the film had borne a prominent disclaimer that it is a work of fiction, as some religious groups wanted. Some high-ranking Vatican cabinet members had called for a boycott of the film. 83. McKellen responded, "I've often thought the Bible should have a disclaimer in the front saying this is fiction. I mean, walking on water? It takes an act of faith. And I have faith in this film, not that it's true, not that it's factual, but that it's a jolly good story. And I think audiences are clever enough and bright enough to separate out fact and fiction, and discuss the thing when they've seen it." 84. Accolades. Award category recipient, S, and nominee, S, result. 64th Golden Globe Awards Best Original Score Hans Zimmer nominated. 12th Critics' Choice Awards Best Composer. 49th Annual Grammy Awards Best Score Soundtrack. 33rd People's Choice Awards Favorite Movie Drama The Da Vinci Code. 27th Golden Raspberry Awards Worst Director Ron Howard. 11th Satellite Awards Best Original Score Hans Zimmer. Best Visual Effects Kevin Ahern. Best Sound Anthony J. Ciccolini. 3, Kevin O'Connell, and Greg P. Russell. Best DVD Extras The Da Vinci Code. 2016 Choice Awards Choice Movie, Villain Ian McKellen. Home Media. The film was released on DVD on November 14, 2006, in 4 editions. A 2-disc release in both widescreen and full screen. 85. A Target widescreen exclusive release, along with a History Channel documentary. A Walmart exclusive 3-disc release in both widescreen and full screen containing a bonus disc about the paintings and props used in the film, along with how the book was adapted to the screen. A special edition gift set that includes a 2-disc DVD set, working cryptex, and replica Robert Langdon journal. 86. All DVD sets include an introduction from director Howard, 10 featurettes, and other bonus features. The Da Vinci Code was also released on UMD for the Sony PlayStation Portable on November 14, 2006. In Hong Kong and Korea, Region 3, Australia, New Zealand, Spain and Latin America, DVD Region Code 4, a version of the 2-disc set included an extended edition of the film, featuring over 25 minutes of extra footage, bringing the running time to 174 minutes. 85. However, there is no regular DVD release of the extended version in the United States or United Kingdom. On April 28, 2009, a 2-disc Blu-ray edition of the extended version of the film was released in North America. On October 11, 2016, a 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray edition was released. 87. Sequels. Main article, Robert Langdon, franchise. Angels and Demons. Main article, Angels and Demons, film. The screenwriter Akiva Goldsman, with the help of the Jurassic Park screenwriter David Koepp, adapted Angels and Demons, a 2000 Dan Brown novel published 6 years before the Da Vinci Code, into a film script 88 which was also directed by Howard. Chronologically, the story takes place before the Da Vinci Code. However, the filmmakers retooled it as a sequel. Hanks reprises his role as Langdon in the film, which was released in May 2009 to moderate, but generally better, reviews. Inferno. Main article, Inferno, 2016 film. Sony Pictures produced a film adaptation of Inferno, the 4th book in the Robert Langdon series, which was released in October 2016. 89 with Howard as director, David Koepp adapting the screenplay and Hanks reprising his role as Robert Langdon. 90 filming began on April 27, 2015, in Venice, Italy, and finished on July 21, 2015. 91 on December 2, 2014, Felicity Jones was in early talks to star in the film. 92 the Bollywood actor Irfan Khan was cast as the Provost. 93 the Danish actress Sidse Babett Knudsen was added to the cast as Elizabeth Sinsky. 94. See also. Film portal. Robert Langdon, franchise. The Da Vinci Code web quests. The Da Vinci Code, video game. The Da Vinci Treasure, a mockbuster produced by the Asylum. Cultural references to Leonardo da Vinci. National Treasure, film about the Knights Templar treasure. Thomas Jeffrey Hanks, born July 9, 1956, is an American actor and filmmaker. Known for both his comedic and dramatic roles, he is one of the most popular and recognizable film stars worldwide, and is regarded as an American cultural icon. 2 Hanks is ranked as the 4th highest grossing American film actor. 3 For his numerous awards include 2 Academy Awards, 7 Emmy Awards, and 4 Golden Globe Awards. He has also been nominated for 5 BAFTA Awards and a Tony Award. He received the AFI Life Achievement Award in 2002, the Kennedy Center Honor in 2014, the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2016, and the Golden Globe Cecil B. DeMille Award in 2020. 5, 6, 7. Hanks rose to fame with leading roles in comedies: Splash, 1984, The Money Pit, 1986, Big, 1988, and A League of Their Own, 1992. He won 2 consecutive Academy Awards for Best Actor, playing a gay lawyer suffering from AIDS in Philadelphia, 1993, then the title character in Forrest Gump, 1994. 8 Hanks has collaborated with Steven Spielberg on 5 films: Saving Private Ryan, 1998, Catch Me If You Can, 2002, The Terminal, 2004, Bridge of Spies, 2015, and The Post, 2017, and 3 World War II themed miniseries: Band of Brothers, 2001, The Pacific, 2010, and Masters of the Air, 2024. He has also frequently collaborated with directors Ron Howard, Nora Ephron, and Robert Zemeckis. Hanks cemented his film stardom with lead roles in the romantic comedies Sleepless in Seattle, 1993, and You've Got Mail, 1998, the dramas Apollo 13, 1995, The Green Mile, 1999, Castaway, 2000, Road to Perdition, 2002, Cloud Atlas, 2012, and News of the World, 2020, and the biographical dramas Charlie Wilson's War, 2007, Captain Phillips, 2013, Saving Mr. Banks, 2013, Sully, 2016, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, 2019, and Elvis, 2022. He played the title character in the Robert Langdon series, 2006-2016, and voiced Sheriff Woody in the Toy Story franchise, 1995-present, and multiple roles in The Polar Express, 2004. Hanks directed and acted in That Thing You Do, 1996, and Larry Crowne, 2011. His breakthrough television role was a CO lead in the ABC sitcom Bosom Buddies, 1980-1982. He has hosted Saturday Night Live 10x9 and launched a production company, Playtone, which has produced various limited series and television movies, including From the Earth to the Moon, 1998, Band of Brothers, John Adams, 2008, The Pacific, Game Change, 2012, and Olive Kitteridge, 2015. He made his Broadway debut in Nora Ephron's Lucky Guy, 2013, earning a nomination for the Tony Award for Best Actor in a Play. 10. Early life and family. Hanks was born in Concord, California 11 on July 9, 1956, to hospital worker Janet Marilyn, née Frager, and itinerant 13-14 cook Amos Bud 15-16 Hanks. His mother was from a Portuguese family, their surname was originally Fraga. 17. His father had English ancestry. 18. And through his line, Hanks is a distant cousin of Nancy Hanks and her son President Abraham Lincoln 1920 and children's host Fred Rogers, who Hanks has portrayed in a film role. 21-22. Hanks' parents divorced in 1960. 23. Their three oldest children, Sandra, later Sandra Hanks Benoiten, a writer, 24 Larry, who became an entomology professor at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, 25-26 and Tom, went with their father, while the youngest, Jim, who also became an actor and filmmaker, remained with their mother in Red Bluff, California. 27. In his childhood, Hanks' family moved often. By age 10, he had lived in 10 different houses. 28. Hanks' family's religious history was Catholic and Mormon. 29. One journalist characterized Hanks' teenage self as being a Bible-toting evangelical for several years. 30. In school, he was unpopular with students and teachers alike, later telling Rolling Stone magazine, "I was a geek, a spaz. I was horribly, painfully, terribly shy. At the same time, I was the guy who'd yell out funny captions during film strips. But I didn't get into trouble. I was always a real good kid and pretty responsible." 31. Hanks acted in school plays, including South Pacific, while attending Skyline High School in Oakland, California. 32. Having grown up in the Bay Area, Hanks says that some of his first movie memories were seeing movies in the Alameda Theater. 33. Hanks studied theater at Shabu College in Hayward, California. 34. And transferred to California State University, Sacramento after 2 years. 35-36. During a 2001 interview with sportscaster Bob Costas, Hanks was asked whether he would rather have an Oscar or a Heisman Trophy. He replied that he would have rather won a Heisman by playing halfback for the California Golden Bears. 37. He told New York Magazine in 1986, "Acting classes looked like the best place for a guy who liked to make a lot of noise and be rather flamboyant. I spent a lot of time going to plays. I wouldn't take dates with me. I'd just drive to a theater, buy myself a ticket, sit in the seat and read the program, and then get into the play completely. I spent a lot of time like that, seeing Brecht, Tennessee Williams, Ibsen, and all that." 38. During his years studying theater, Hanks met Vincent Dowling, head of the Great Lakes Theater Festival in Cleveland, Ohio. 15. At Dowling's suggestion, Hanks became an intern at the festival, His internship stretched into a 3-year experience that covered most aspects of theater production, including lighting, set design, and stage management, prompting Hanks to drop out of college. During the same time, Hanks won the Cleveland Critics Circle Award for Best Actor for his 1978 performance as Proteus in Shakespeare's The Two Gentlemen of Verona, one of the few times he played a villain. 39. Career. See also, List of Tom Hanks performances and list of awards and nominations received by Tom Hanks. 1980–1989, early work, sitcom, and comedy films. Hanks at the Academy Awards after party in March 1989. In 1979, Hanks moved to New York City, where he made his film debut in the low-budget slasher film He Knows You're Alone, 1980, 1540, and landed a starring role in the television movie Mazes and Monsters, 1982. 41 early that year, he was cast as the lead, Callimaco, in the Riverside Shakespeare Company's production of Niccolò Machiavelli's The Mandrake, directed by Daniel Southern. 42 the following year, Hanks landed one of the lead roles, that of character Kip Wilson, on the ABC television pilot of Bosom Buddies. He and Peter Scolari played a pair of young advertising men forced to dress as women so they could live in an inexpensive all-female hotel. 15 Hanks had previously partnered with Scolari on the 1970s game show Make Me Laugh. After landing the role, Hanks moved to Los Angeles. Bosom Buddies ran for 2 seasons, and, although the ratings were never strong, television critics gave the program high marks. The first day I saw him on the set, CO producer Ian Grazer told Rolling Stone, "I thought, too bad he won't be in television for long. I knew he'd be a movie star in 2 years." 43. Hanks made a guest appearance on a 1982 episode of Happy Days, A Case of Revenge, in which he played a disgruntled former classmate of Fonzie, where he met writers Lowell Gans and Babalu Mondale who were writing the film Splash, 1984, a romantic comedy fantasy about a mermaid who falls in love with a human, to be directed by former Happy Days star Ron Howard. Gans and Mondale suggested Howard consider Hanks for the film. 44, 45, 46 At first, Howard considered Hanks for the role of the main character's wisecracking brother, a role that eventually went to John Candy. Instead, Hanks landed the lead role in Splash, which went on to become a surprise box office hit, grossing more than $69 million. 47 He had a sizable hit with the sex comedy Bachelor Party, also in 1984. 48 In 1983–84, Hanks made 3 guest appearances on Family Ties as Elise Keaton's alcoholic brother Ned Donnelly. 49–50. With Nothing in Common, 1986, a story of a young man alienated from his father, Jackie Gleason, Hanks began to extend himself from comedic roles to dramatic. In an interview with Rolling Stone, Hanks commented on his experience, "It changed my desires about working in movies. Part of it was the nature of the material, what we were trying to say. But besides that, it focused on people's relationships. The story was about a guy and his father, unlike, say, The Money Pit, where the story is really about a guy and his house." 51 In 1987, he had signed an agreement with the Walt Disney Studios where he had starred to a talent pool in an acting/producing pact. 52 After a few more flops and a moderate success with the comedy Dragnet, 1987, Hanks' stature in the film industry rose. The broad success of the fantasy comedy Big, 1988, established Hanks as a major Hollywood talent, both as a box office draw and within the industry as an actor. 48 1553 For his performance in the film, Hanks earned his first nomination for the Academy Award for Best Actor. 54 Big was followed later that year by Punchline, in which he and Sally Field co-starred as struggling comedians. Hanks then suffered a run of box office underperformers, The Burbs, 1989, Joe vs. the Volcano, 1990, and The Bonfire of the Vanities, 1990. 15 In the last, he portrayed a greedy Wall Street figure who gets enmeshed in a hit-and-run accident. Turner and Hooch, 1989, was Hanks' only financially successful film of the period. 1990–1999, leading man in acclaim. Hanks climbed back to the top again with his portrayal of a washed-up baseball legend turned manager in Penny Marshall's A League of Their Own, 1992. 15 Hanks has said that his acting in earlier roles had not been great, but that he later improved. In an interview with Vanity Fair, Hanks called attention to what he called his modern era of movie making, because enough self-discovery has gone on. My work has become less pretentiously fake and over the top. This modern era began in 1993 for Hanks, first with Nora Ephron's Sleepless in Seattle and then with Jonathan Demme's Philadelphia. Sleepless in Seattle is a romantic comedy about a widower who finds true love over the radio airwaves. Hanks co-starred with Meg Ryan. 55 Richard Schickel of Time called his performance charming, and most critics agreed that Hanks' portrayal ensured him a place among the premier romantic comedy stars of his generation. 56 In Philadelphia, he played a gay lawyer with AIDS who sues his firm for discrimination. 15 Hanks lost 35 pounds, 16 kilograms, and thinned his hair in order to appear sickly for the role. In a review for People, Leah Rosen stated, "Above all, credit for Philadelphia's success belongs to Hanks, who makes sure that he plays a character, not a saint. He is flat out terrific, giving a deeply felt, carefully nuanced performance that deserves an Oscar." Hanks won the 1993 Academy Award for Best Actor for his role in Philadelphia. 1557 During his acceptance speech, he revealed that two people with whom he was close, his high school drama teacher Raleigh Farnsworth and his former classmate John Gilkerson, were gay. 58. A man is at the center of the image smiling into the camera. He is sitting on a blue crate and has his hands resting on his legs. Hanks on the film set of Forrest Gump, 1994. Hanks followed Philadelphia with Robert Zemeckis' Forrest Gump, 1994, playing the title character, a man with an IQ of 75 who happens to find himself involved with some of the major events in recent American history. It grossed a worldwide total of over $600 million. 59 Hanks remarked, "When I read the script for Gump, I saw it as one of those kind of grand, hopeful movies that the audience can go to and feel some hope for their lot and their position in life. I got that from the movies 100 million times when I was a kid. I still do." Hanks won his second Best Actor Academy Award for his role in Forrest Gump, becoming only the second actor to have accomplished the feat of winning consecutive Best Actor Oscars. 60. Spencer Tracy was the first, winning in 1937 and 38 for Captains Courageous and Boys Town. Hanks and Tracy were the same age at the time they received their Academy Awards, 37 years old when they won their first and 38 when they won their second. 61–62. Hanks reunited with Ron Howard to play astronaut and Commander Jim Lovell in Apollo 13, 1995. 15 Critics generally applauded the film and the performances of the entire cast, which included Kevin Bacon, Bill Paxton, Gary Sinise, Ed Harris, and Kathleen Quinlan. The movie earned 9 Academy Award nominations, winning 2. Hanks also starred in Pixar's Toy Story, 1995, as the voice of Sheriff Woody. 63 Hanks made his directing debut with That Thing You Do. 1996, about a 1960s pop group, he also played the role of a music producer in the film. 64–65 Hanks and producer Gary Goetzman went on to create Playtone, a record and film production company named after the record company in the film. 66–67. Hanks then executive produced, co-wrote and co-directed the HBO docudrama From the Earth to the Moon, 1998. The 12-part series chronicled the space program from its inception, through the familiar flights of Neil Armstrong and Jim Lovell, to the personal feelings surrounding the reality of moon landings. The Emmy Award-winning project was, at $68 million, equivalent to $131 million in 2024, one of the most expensive ventures undertaken for television. 68–69. For Saving Private Ryan, 1998, he worked with Steven Spielberg to make a film about a search through war-torn France after D-Day to bring home a soldier. 70. It earned the praise and respect of the film community, critics, and the general public. 71. Hailed as one of the finest war films ever made, it earned Spielberg his second Academy Award for direction, and Hanks another Best Actor nomination. 72. Later that year, Hanks reteamed with Efron and Ryan for You've Got Mail, a remake of Ernst Lubitsch's The Shop Around the Corner, 1940. 48. He starred in Frank Darabont's The Green Mile, 1999, based on the novel of the same name by Stephen King. 73. He reprised the role of Woody in Toy Story 2, 1999. 2000-2009, established star and expansion. Hanks in 2009. Hanks reunited with Zemeckis for Cast Away, 2000, playing a marooned FedEx systems analyst. Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times wrote, "Hanks proves here again what an effective actor he is, never straining for an effect, always persuasive even in this unlikely situation, winning our sympathy with his eyes and his body language when there's no one else on the screen." 74. Hanks co-directed and produced the Emmy Award-winning HBO miniseries Band of Brothers, 2001. 75. He also appeared in the September 11th television special America, a tribute to heroes and the documentary Rescued from the Closet. 76. In 2002, he teamed up with Sam Mendes for Road to Perdition, an adaptation of Max Allan Collins's and Richard Piers Rayner's comics, in which he played an anti-hero role as a hitman on the run with his son. Hanks reunited with Spielberg, starring opposite Leonardo DiCaprio in Catch Me If You Can, 2002, based on the true story of conman Frank Abagnale, Jr. Hanks and his wife Rita Wilson produced My Big Fat Greek Wedding, 2002. 77-78. In August 2007, Hanks, along with CO producers Wilson and Gary Goetzman and writer and star Nia Vardalos, initiated a legal action against the production company Gold Circle Films for their share of profits from the movie. 79-80-81. At the age of 45, Hanks became the youngest ever recipient of the American Film Institute's Life Achievement Award on June 12, 2002. 82-83. Hanks at Post-Emmys Party, September 2008. In 2004, he appeared in 3 films, the Coen Brothers' The Lady Killers, Spielberg's The Terminal and Zemeckis' The Polar Express, a family film for which Hanks played multiple motion capture roles. In a USA Weekend interview, Hanks discussed how he chooses projects, "Since A League of Their Own, it can't be just another movie for me. It has to get me going somehow. There has to be some all-encompassing desire or feeling about wanting to do that particular movie. I'd like to assume that I'm willing to go down any avenue in order to do it right." In August 2005, Hanks was voted in as Vice President of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. 84. Hanks next starred in the Da Vinci Code, 2006, which grossed over $750 million worldwide. 85. In 2006, Hanks topped a 1,500-strong list of most trusted celebrities compiled by Forbes magazine. 86. He produced the animated children's movie The Ant Bully and Starter for 10, a comedy about working-class students attempting to win on University Challenge. 87. Hanks did voice work for Ken Burns's documentary The War, 2007, reading excerpts from World War II-era columns by Al McIntosh. Hanks voiced himself in The Simpsons movie, 2007, in which he appeared in an announcement claiming that the U.S. government has lost its credibility and is hence buying some of his. He also made an appearance in the credits, expressing a desire to be left alone when he is out in public. He starred in Mike Nichols's Charlie Wilson's War, 2007, as Democratic Texas Congressman Charles Wilson. In the comedy-drama film The Great Buck Howard, 2008, Hanks played the on-screen father of a young man, played by Hanks' real-life son Colin, who chooses to work as road manager for a fading mentalist, John Malkovich. His character was less than thrilled about his son's career decision. 88. In the same year, he executive produced the musical comedy Mamma Mia. and the miniseries John Adams. 89-90. Hanks' next endeavor was Angels and Demons, 2009. Its April 11, 2007, announcement revealed that Hanks would reprise his role as Robert Langdon, and that he would reportedly receive the highest salary ever for an actor. 91-92. The following day he made his 10th appearance on NBC's Saturday Night Live, impersonating himself for the Celebrity Jeopardy sketch. Hanks produced Spike Jonze's Where the Wild Things Are, 2009, based on the children's book by Maurice Sendak. 93. 2010-2019, Broadway debut and other roles. Hanks, Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, and Koji Yakusho at the 2013 Tokyo International Film Festival. Hanks reprised his role of Woody in Toy Story 3, 2010, after he, Tim Allen and John Ratzenberger were invited to a movie theater to see a complete story reel of the movie. 94. The film went on to become the highest-grossing animated film at the time. 95, 96, 97. He executive produced the miniseries The Pacific, 2010. 98 and 2011, he directed and starred opposite Julia Roberts in the title role in the romantic comedy Larry Crowne. 99. The movie received poor reviews, with only 35% of the 175 Rotten Tomatoes reviews giving it high ratings. 100. Also in 2011, he starred in the drama Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. 101. In 2012, he voiced the character Cleveland Carr for a web series he created, Electric City. 102. He played multiple parts in Cloud Atlas, 2012, based on the novel of the same name by David Mitchell, and was executive producer of the miniseries Game Change. 103. In 2013, Hanks starred in two critically acclaimed films, Paul Greengrass's Captain Phillips and John Lee Hancock's Saving Mr. Banks, which earned him praise, including nominations for the BAFTA Award for Best Actor in a Leading Role and the Golden Globe Award for Best Actor Motion Picture Drama for the former role. 104. 105. In Captain Phillips, he starred as Captain Richard Phillips with Barkhad Abdi, which was based on the Maersk, Alabama hijacking. 106. In Saving Mr. Banks, CO starring Emma Thompson, he was the first actor to portray Walt Disney in a mainstream film. 107. That same year, Hanks made his Broadway debut, starring in Nora Ephron's Lucky Guy, for which he was nominated for the Tony Award for Best Actor in a Play. 108. Hanks at a Sully premiere in Japan in 2016. In 2014, Hanks' short story Alan Bean Plus 4 was published in The New Yorker. 109. Revolving around four friends who make a voyage to the moon, the short story is titled after the Apollo 12 astronaut Alan Bean. Slate magazine's Katie Waldman found his first published short story mediocre, writing that Hanks' shop-worn ideas about technology might have yet sung if they hadn't been wrapped in too clever lit mag essay. 110. In an interview with The New Yorker, Hanks said he has always been fascinated by space. He told the magazine that he built plastic models of rockets when he was a child and watched live broadcasts of space missions back in the 1960s. 111. In March 2015, Hanks appeared in the music video for Carly Rae Jepsen's I Really Like You, lip-syncing most of the song's lyrics as he goes through his daily routine. 112. His next film was Steven Spielberg's Bridge of Spies, 2015, in which he played lawyer James B. Donovan, who negotiated for the release of pilot Francis Gary Powers by the Soviet Union in exchange for KGB spy Rudolf Abel. 113. In April 2016, Hanks starred as Alan Clay in the comedy drama A Hologram for the King, an adaptation of the 2012 novel of the same name. 114. It is the second time he was directed by Tom Tykwer after Cloud Atlas. 115. Hanks starred as airline captain Chesley Sullenberger in Clint Eastwood's Sully, 2016. 116. He next reprised his role as Robert Langdon in Inferno, 2016, 117. And CO starred alongside Emma Watson in the 2017 science fiction drama The Circle. 118 He voiced David S. Pumpkins in the David S. Pumpkins Halloween special, which aired October 28, 2017, on NBC, a character he had portrayed in episodes of Saturday Night Live. 119. Hanks reprised his role as Sheriff Woody in Pixar's Toy Story 4, 2019. 121 Hanks portrayed Fred Rogers in Marielle Heller's biographical film A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, 2019, for which he was nominated for his first Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. 122. 2020 Present. Baz Luhrmann, Olivia DeJonge, Austin Butler, and Hanks at the premiere of Elvis, 2022. On April 11, 2020, Hanks made his first television appearance since his COVID-19 diagnosis by hosting Saturday Night Live. 123 Hanks delivered an opening monologue via his house but did not appear in any of the sketches. This is the first episode of SNL to debut after the show's hiatus due to the COVID-19 pandemic. It features different sketches filmed remotely from the cast members' homes. This is also a first in SNL history, for the show to be made up entirely of pre-recorded content before airing, and the second to not be filmed at Studio 8H. Hanks had 2 films released in 2020. Hanks starred in Greyhound, a war film which he also wrote the screenplay for. 125 initially set to be theatrically released in June 2020 by Sony Pictures, due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Distribution rights to the film were bought by Apple TV+, where it was released in July 2020. 126 He reunited with Paul Greengrass for the Western News of the World. 128 David Rooney of The Hollywood Reporter praised Hanks' performance. Hanks has built a career out of playing thoroughly decent men, so his casting here is entirely to type. But the soulfulness and sorrow, the innate compassion that ripple through his characterization make this an enormously pleasurable performance to watch, with new depths of both kindness and regret that keep revealing themselves. 129. In 2021, Hanks starred in the science fiction drama Finch, directed by Miguel Sapochnik. 132 and released by Apple TV+. 133 On March 2, 2022, Connor Ratliff appeared as a guest on Late Night with Seth Meyers. 134 where he revealed that Hanks would at last be interviewed for the Season 3 finale of Ratliff's podcast Dead Eyes. The conversation between Hanks and Ratliff took place 22 years after Ratliff was about to begin filming an episode of Band of Brothers, when he was subsequently fired, allegedly because Hanks believed Ratliff had dead eyes. The 90-minute interview was hailed as a momentous achievement in podcasting, a rare show that gives you a perfect conclusion. 135 Surprisingly funny and empathetic. 135 And an event Paul Scheer called thrilling. 136. Hanks at the 80th D-Day ceremony in Normandy, France in 2024. Hanks had 3 films released in 2022. He first starred as Tom Parker, the manager of Elvis Presley, in Baz Luhrmann's Elvis. 137 Shooting commenced in the beginning of 2020 in Queensland, Australia. 138 And the film was released in June 2022. 139 Hanks' next film was portraying Geppetto in Walt Disney Studios' live-action adaptation of Pinocchio. 140 His involvement in the film, which was directed by his longtime collaborator Zemeckis, was officially confirmed in December 2020. 141 and released on September 8, 2022, by Disney+. 142 Hanks' final film of the year was A Man Called Otto, an English-language remake of the Swedish film A Man Called Ove. 143. Hanks appeared in Wes Anderson's Asteroid City, 2023, starring alongside Jason Schwartzman, Scarlett Johansson, Adrian Brody, Jeffrey Wright, and Bryan Cranston. 144 The film premiered at the 2023 Cannes Film Festival to mixed reviews. 145 and was released in June 2023. Hanks executive produced the miniseries Masters of the Air, 2024. 146 HBO confirmed in January 2013 that it was developing a third World War II miniseries based on the book Masters of the Air by Donald L. Miller to follow Band of Brothers in the Pacific. 147 NME reported in March 2017 that production was progressing under the working title The Mighty Eighth 148, but on October 11, 2019, it was announced the series would keep the original title and stream on Apple TV, and where it premiered on January 26, 2024. Hanks starred in the film Here, 2024, an adaptation of Richard McGuire's graphic novel that reunited Hanks with Forrest Gump CO star Robin Wright and director Robert Zemeckis. 149 Hanks attended the Saturday Night Live 50th anniversary special where he acted in the Black Jeopardy sketch reprising his role as Doug. 150 From February to April 2025, Hanks narrated NBC documentary series The Americas. 152. Upcoming projects. Hanks is attached to star in an adaptation of the 2011 non-fiction book In the Garden of Beasts from director Joe Wright about American diplomat William Dodd's time in Nazi Germany. 154 It was announced that Hanks would return to the stage as performer and playwright in This World of Tomorrow, an adaptation of short stories written by Hanks, at the Shed in New York City. Audrey Tautou, French, Audrey Tautou, born August 9, 1976, 1 is a French actress. 2 She made her acting debut at age 18 on television, and her feature film debut in Venus Beauty Institute, 1999, for which she received critical acclaim and won the César Award for Most Promising Actress. Tautou achieved international recognition for her lead role in the 2001 film Amélie, which was critically acclaimed and a major box office success. She has since appeared in films in a range of genres, including the thrillers Dirty Pretty Things, 2002, and the Da Vinci Code, 2006, and the romantic comedy Priceless, 2006. She was acclaimed for her role in the World War I drama A Very Long Engagement, 2004, and for her portrayal of French fashion designer Coco Chanel in the biographical drama Coco Avant Chanel, 2009. She has been nominated 3 times for the César Award and twice for the BAFTA for Best Actress in a Leading Role. In June 2004, she became one of the few French actors invited to join the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, AMPAS. 3. Tautou has modeled for Chanel, Montblanc, L'Oréal and many other companies. Early life. Tautou was born in Beaumont and raised in Montlucan. Her father, Bernard Tautou, is a dental surgeon, and her mother Evelyn Marie-Laure, née Nurette, is a teacher. 1. She was named after actress Audrey Hepburn. 4. She showed an interest in acting at an early age and started her acting lessons at the Cours Florent 5 where she learned English and Italian. Acting career. 1990s. Tautou at the 1999 Cannes Film Festival. In 1998, Tautou participated in June's premieres, The Young Debuts, a Star Search-like competition sponsored by Canal+, and won Best Young Actress at the 9th Béziers Festival of Young Actors. Toni Marshall gave Tautou a role in her 1999 César-winning film Venus Beauty Institute, also known as Venus Beauty Institute. In 2000, Tautou received the Prix Suzanne Bianchetti as her country's most promising young film actress. 2000s. In 2001, Tautou rose to international fame for her performance as the eccentric lead in the romantic comedy Amélie, original French title, Le Fabuleux Destin d'Amélie Poulain, English, The Fabulous Destiny of Amélie Poulain, a film directed by Jean-Pierre Jeunet. Written by Jeunet with Guillaume Laurent, it is a whimsical depiction of contemporary Parisian life, set in Montmartre, and tells the story of a shy waitress who decides to improve the lives of those around her while struggling with her own isolation. It was an international co-production between companies in France and Germany. Amélie won Best Film at the European Film Awards. It won 4 César Awards, including Best Film and Best Director, 2 BAFTA Awards, including Best Original Screenplay, and was nominated for 5 Academy Awards. Grossing over $33 million in limited theatrical release, it is still the highest-grossing French-language film released in the United States. 6. In 2002, Tautou appeared in the British thriller film Dirty Pretty Things, directed by Stephen Frears and written by Stephen Knight, a drama about two illegal immigrants in London. Produced by BBC Films and Cellular Films, it was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay and won the 2003 British Independent Film Award for Best Independent British Film. Tautou at the 2006 Cannes Film Festival. In 2004, Tautou starred in A Very Long Engagement, a romantic war film written and directed by Jean-Pierre Jeunet. It is a fictional tale about a young woman's desperate search for her fiancé who might have been killed in the Battle of the Somme during World War I. It was based on the 1991 novel of the same name by Sébastien Japrissot. In June, Tautou was invited to join the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, AMPAS. 3. In 2005, Tautou starred in her first full Hollywood production, opposite Tom Hanks, in the film version of Dan Brown's best-selling novel The Da Vinci Code, directed by Ron Howard and released in May 2006. She starred alongside Gad Elmaleh in Pierre Salvador's Hors de Prix, Priceless, released December 13, 2006. It has been compared to Breakfast at Tiffany's. 7. Tautou starred with Guillaume Canet in Claude Berry's Hunting and Gathering, Ensemble, C'est Tout, in 2007, an adaptation of the eponymous novel by Anna Gavalda. 2010's Present. Tautou played the lead role in the biopic of fashion designer Coco Chanel, titled Coco Avant Chanel, and directed by Anne Fontaine. 8, 9, 10, 11 filming began in Paris in September 2008, and the film was released in France on April 22, 2009. The script is partially based on Edmond Charles Roua's book Elle Irrégulière, The Nonconformist. Instead of releasing Coco before Chanel in the United States itself, Warner Bros. Let Sony Pictures Classics handle the release there. 12. The film grossed $6 million in the United States. 13. 14. Coco Before Chanel was nominated for 4 BAFTA Awards, 3 European Film Awards, 6 César Awards and the Academy Award for Best Costume Design. In 2011, she appeared in Delicacy, a French romantic comedy drama directed by David and Stéphane Fonkinos and based on the novel of the same name by David Fonkinos. David was nominated for the 2012 Best Adaptation César Award and the film was nominated as Best Film. 15. She appeared in the music video of I Love Your Smile, a song by British singer-songwriter Charlie Winston. 16. She was the host of the opening and closing ceremonies of the 2013 Cannes Film Festival. 17. She was a member of the jury of the 2015 Berlin Film Festival. 18. She appeared in the 2016 film The Odyssey as Simone Melchior Cousteau. Public image and modeling career. Tautou began modeling at a young age, taking modeling courses and other activities, and has modeled for magazines such as Vogue, Elle, Harper's Bazaar, Marie Claire in many countries, and many others. 2. Tautou was named in 2009 as the next spokesmodel for Chanel No. 5, replacing Nicole Kidman. She was directed in the advertisement by Jean-Pierre Jeunet, with whom she worked on Amélie and A Very Long Engagement. The advertisement was released in 2009 to coincide with release of Coco Before Chanel. 19. She has also become the face of L'Oréal and Montblanc and several other ad campaigns. 20. Tautou over the years has been declared a fashionista and icon by the press, appearing in many magazines, fashion, beauty, and culture. She has attended major Fashion Week events around the world as well as smaller events. The press sometimes refers to her as the Chanel Muse. 2. Personal life. Tautou studied at the Institut Catholique de Paris. 21. A churchgoer when young, she has stated that she is not officially Catholic. 22. She says she considers France her base, where she focused her career, rather than in the United States. In 2006, she told Stevie Wong of The Straits Times, I am, at the end of the day, a French actress. I am not saying I will never shoot an English language movie again, but my home, my community, my career is rooted in France. I would never move to Los Angeles. Sir Ian Murray McKellen, born May 25, 1939, is an English actor. He has played roles on the screen and stage in genres ranging from Shakespearean dramas and modern theatre to popular fantasy and science fiction. He is regarded as a British cultural icon and was knighted by Queen Elizabeth II in 1991. He has received numerous accolades, including a Tony Award, 6 Olivier Awards, and a Golden Globe Award, as well as nominations for 2 Academy Awards, 5 BAFTA Awards and 5 Emmy Awards. McKellen made his stage debut in 1961 at the Belgrade Theatre as a member of its repertory company, and in 1965 made his first West End appearance. In 1969, he was invited to join the Prospect Theatre Company to play the lead parts in Shakespeare's Richard II and Marlowe's Edward II. In the 1970s, McKellen became a stalwart of the Royal Shakespeare Company and the National Theatre of Great Britain. He has earned 5 Olivier Awards for his roles in Pillars of the Community, 1977, The Alchemist, 1978, Bent, 1979, Wild Honey, 1984, and Richard III, 1995. McKellen made his Broadway debut in The Promise, 1965. He went on to receive the Tony Award for Best Actor in a Play for his role as Antonio Salieri in Amadeus, 1980. He was further nominated for Ian McKellen, acting Shakespeare, 1984. He returned to Broadway in Wild Honey, 1986, Dance of Death, 1990, No Man's Land, 2013, and Waiting for Godot, 2013, the latter two being a joint production with Patrick Stewart. 4. McKellen achieved worldwide fame for his film roles, including the titular king in Richard III, 1995, James Whale in Gods and Monsters, 1998, Magneto in the X-Men films, Cogsworth in Beauty and the Beast, 2017, and Gandalf in The Lord of the Rings, 2001-2003, and The Hobbit, 2012-2014, trilogies. Other notable film roles include A Touch of Love, 1969, Plenty, 1985, 6 Degrees of Separation, 1993, Restoration, 1995, Flushed Away, 2006, Mr. Holmes, 2015, and The Good Liar, 2019. McKellen came out as gay in 1988, and has since championed LGBT social movements worldwide. He was awarded the Freedom of the City of London in October 2014. 5. McKellen is a co-founder of Stonewall, an LGBT rights lobby group in the United Kingdom, named after the Stonewall riots. 6. He is also patron of LGBT History Month. 7. Pride London, Oxford Pride, Gay Gloss, LGBT Foundation, and Flag. 8. Early life and education. McKellen was born on May 25, 1939 in Burnley, Lancashire 910, the son of Marjorie Lois, née Sutcliffe, and Dennis Murray McKellen. He was their second child, with a sister, Jean, 5 years his senior. 11. Shortly before the outbreak of the Second World War in September 1939, his family moved to Wigan. They lived there until Ian was 12 years old, before relocating to Bolton in 1951 after his father had been promoted. 11. 12. The experience of living through the war as a young child had a lasting impact on him, and he later said that only after peace resumed, did I realize that war wasn't normal. 12. When an interviewer remarked that he seemed quite calm in the aftermath of the September 11th attacks, McKellen said, "Well, darling, you forget I slept under a steel plate until I was 4 years old." 13. McKellen's father was a civil engineer, 14, and lay preacher, and was of Protestant Irish and Scottish descent. 15. Both of McKellen's grandfathers were preachers, and his great-great-grandfather, James McKellen, was a strict, evangelical Protestant minister in Ballymena, County Antrim. 16. His home environment was strongly Christian, but non-orthodox. My upbringing was of low nonconformist Christians who felt that you led the Christian life in part by behaving in a Christian manner to everybody you met. 17. When he was 12, his mother died of breast cancer. His father died when he was 25. After his coming out as gay to his stepmother, Gladys McKellen, who was a Quaker, he said, not only was she not fazed, but as a member of a society which declared its indifference to people's sexuality years back, I think she was just glad for my sake that I wasn't lying anymore. 18. His great-great-grandfather Robert J. Lowes was an activist and campaigner in the ultimately successful campaign for a Saturday half-holiday in Manchester, the forerunner to the modern 5-day work week, thus making Lowes a grandfather of the modern weekend. 19. McKellen attended Bolton School, Boys Division, 20 of which he is still a supporter, attending regularly to talk to pupils. McKellen's acting career started at Bolton Little Theatre, of which he is now the patron. 21. An early fascination with the theatre was encouraged by his parents, who took him on a family outing to Peter Pan at the Opera House in Manchester when he was 3. 11. When he was 9, his main Christmas present was a fold-away wood and bakelite Victorian theatre from Pollock's Toy Theatres, with cardboard scenery and wires to push on the cutouts of Cinderella and of Laurence Oliver's reenactment of Shakespeare's Hamlet. 11. His sister took him to his first Shakespeare play, Twelfth Night 22 by the amateurs of Wigan's Little Theatre, shortly followed by their Macbeth and Wigan High School for Girls production of A Midsummer Night's Dream, with music by Mendelssohn, with the role of Bottom played by Jean McKellen, who continued to act, direct, and produce amateur theatre until her death. 23. In 1958, McKellen, at the age of 18, won a scholarship to St. Catherine's College, Cambridge, where he read English literature. 24. He has since been made an honorary fellow of the college. While at Cambridge, McKellen was a member of the Marlowe Society, where he appeared in 23 plays over the course of 3 years. At that young age he was already giving performances that have since become legendary, such as his Justice Shallow in Henry IV alongside Trevor Nunn and Derek Jacobi, March 1959, Cymbeline, as Posthumus, opposite Margaret Drabble as Imogen, and Dr. Faustus. 25, 26, 27. During this period McKellen had already been directed by Peter Hall, John Barton, and Dottie Rylands, all of whom would have a significant impact on McKellen's future career. 28. Career. 1965–1985, National Theatre acclaim. McKellen, Antonio Salieri, alongside Jane Seymour, Constanze Mozart, in Amadeus, c. 1981. McKellen made his first professional appearance in 1961 at the Belgrade Theatre in Coventry, as Roper in A Man for All Seasons, although an audio recording of the Marlowe Society's Cymbeline had gone on commercial sale as part of the Argo Shakespeare series. 25–27. After 4 years in regional repertory theatres, McKellen made his first West End appearance, in A Scent of Flowers, regarded as a notable success. 25. In 1965 he was a member of Laurence Oliver's National Theatre Company at the Old Vic, which led to roles at the Chichester Festival. With the Prospect Theatre Company, McKellen made his breakthrough performances of Shakespeare's Richard II, directed by Richard Cottrell, and Christopher Marlowe's Edward II, directed by Toby Robertson, at the Edinburgh Festival in 1969, the latter causing a storm of protest over the enactment of the homosexual Edward's lurid death. 29. One of McKellen's first major roles on television was as the title character in the BBC's 1966 adaptation of David Copperfield, which achieved 12 million viewers on its initial airings. After some rebroadcasting in the late 60s, the master videotapes for the serial were wiped, and only 4 scattered episodes, 3, 8, 9, and 11, survive as telerecordings, 3 of which feature McKellen as adult David. McKellen had taken film roles throughout his career, beginning in 1969 with his role of George Matthews in A Touch of Love, and his first leading role was in 1980 as D.H. Lawrence in Priest of Love 30, but it was not until the 1990s that he became more widely recognized in this medium after several roles in blockbuster Hollywood films. 24 In 1969, McKellen starred in 3 films: Michael Hayes' The Promise, Clive Donner's epic film Alfred the Great, and Waris Hussein's A Touch of Love, 1969. 31. In the 1970s, McKellen became a well-known figure in British theatre, performing frequently at the Royal Shakespeare Company and the Royal National Theatre, where he played several leading Shakespearean roles. From 1973 to 1974, McKellen toured the United Kingdom and Brooklyn Academy of Music portraying Lady Wishfort's footman, Khrushchev, and Edgar in the William Congreve comedy The Way of the World, Anton Chekhov's comedic 3-act play The Wood Demon, and William Shakespeare tragedy King Lear. 32 The following year, he starred in Shakespeare's King John, George Coleman's The Clandestine Marriage, and George Bernard Shaw's Too True to Be Good. 33 From 1976 to 1977 he portrayed Romeo in the Shakespeare romance Romeo and Juliet at the Royal Shakespeare Theatre. The following year he played King Leant in The Winter's Tale. 34. In 1976, McKellen played the title role in William Shakespeare's Macbeth at Stratford in a gripping, out-of-the-ordinary production, with Judi Dench, and Iago in Othello, in award-winning productions directed by Trevor Nunn. 25 Both of these productions were adapted into television films, also directed by Nunn. From 1978 to 1979 he toured in a double-feature production of Shakespeare's Twelfth Night, and Anton Chekhov's Three Sisters portraying Sir Toby Belch and André, respectively. 35 In 1979, McKellen gained acclaim for his role as Antonio Salieri in the Broadway transfer production of Peter Shaffer's play Amadeus. It was an immensely popular play produced by the National Theatre originally starring Paul Scofield. The transfer starred McKellen, Tim Curry as Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, and Jane Seymour as Constanze Mozart. The New York Times theater critic Frank Rich wrote of McKellen's performance in Mr. McKellen's superb performance, Salieri's descent into madness was portrayed in dark notes of almost bone-rattling terror. 36 For his performance, McKellen received the Tony Award for Best Actor in a Play. 37. In 1981, McKellen portrayed writer and poet D.H. Lawrence in the Christopher Miles-directed biographical film, Priest of Love. 38 He followed up with Michael Mann's horror film The Keep, 1983. 39 In 1985, he starred in Plenty, the film adaptation of the David Hare play of the same name. The film was directed by Fred Scapisi and starred Meryl Streep, Charles Dance, John Gielgud, and Sting. The film spans nearly 20 years from the early 1940s to the 1960s, around an English woman's experiences as a fighter for the French resistance during World War II when she has a one-night stand with a British intelligence agent. The film received mixed reviews, with Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times praising the film's ensemble cast, writing, "The performances in the movie supply one brilliant solo after another. Most of the big moments come as characters dominate the scenes they are in." 40. 1986-2000, established actor. In 1986, he returned to Broadway in the revival of Anton Chekhov's first play Wild Honey alongside Kim Cattrall and Kate Burton. The play concerned a local Russian schoolteacher who struggles to remain faithful to his wife, despite the attention of 3 other women. McKellen received mixed reviews from critics, in particular Frank Rich of the New York Times, who praised him for his bravura and athletically graceful technique that provides everything except, perhaps, the thing that matters most: sustained laughter. He later wrote, "Mr. McKellen finds himself in the peculiar predicament of the star who strains to carry a frail supporting cast." 41 In 1989 he played Iago in production of Othello by the Royal Shakespeare Company. 42 McKellen starred in the British drama Scandal, 1989, a fictionalized account of the Profumo affair that rocked the government of British Prime Minister Harold Macmillan. McKellen portrayed John Profumo. The film starred Joanne Whalley and John Hurt. 43 The film premiered at the 1989 Cannes Film Festival and competed for the Palme d'Or. When his friend and colleague, Patrick Stewart, decided to accept the role of Captain Jean-Luc Picard in the American television series, Star Trek: The Next Generation, McKellen strongly advised him not to throw away his respected theatrical career to work in television. However, McKellen later conceded that Stewart had been prudent in accepting the role, which made him a global star, and later followed his example, such as CO starring with Stewart in the X-Men superhero film series. 44. From 1990 to 1992, he acted in a world tour of a lauded revival of Richard III, playing the title character. The production played at the Brooklyn Academy of Music for 2 weeks before continuing its tour, where Frank Rich of New York Times was able to review it. In his piece, he praised McKellen's performance, writing, "Mr. McKellen's highly sophisticated sense of theater and fun drives him to reveal the secrets of how he pulls his victim's strings, whether he is addressing the audience in a soliloquy or not." 45. For his performance he received the Laurence Olivier Award for Best Actor. 46. In 1992, he acted in Pam Gems's revival of Chekhov's Uncle Vanya at the Royal National Theatre alongside Anthony Sher and Janet McTeer. 47. In 1993, he starred in the film 6 Degrees of Separation, based on the Pulitzer Prize and Tony Award-nominated play of the same name. 48. McKellen starred alongside Will Smith, Donald Sutherland, and Stockard Channing. The film was a critical success. 49. That same year, he also appeared in the western The Ballad of Little Joe opposite Bob Hoskins. 50. And the action comedy Last Action Hero starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. The following year, he appeared in the superhero film The Shadow with Alec Baldwin. 51. And the James L. Brooks directed comedy I'll Do Anything starring Nick Nolte. 52. In 1995, McKellen made his screenwriting debut with Richard III, an ambitious adaptation of William Shakespeare's play of the same name, directed by Richard Loncran. 53. 54. The film reimagines the play's story and characters to a setting based on 1930s Britain, with Richard depicted as a fascist plotting to usurp the throne. McKellen stars in the title role alongside an ensemble cast including Annette Bening, Robert Downey Jr., Jim Broadbent, Kristen Scott Thomas, Nigel Hawthorne, and Dame Maggie Smith. As executive producer he returned his £50,000 fee to complete the filming of the final battle. 55. In his review of the film, the Washington Post film critic Hal Hinson called McKellen's performance a lethally flamboyant incarnation and said his florid mastery dominates everything. 56. Film critic Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times praised McKellen's adaptation and his performance in his 4-star review, writing, "McKellen has a deep sympathy for the playwright. Here he brings to Shakespeare's most tortured villain a malevolence we are moved to pity. No man should be so evil, and know it. Hitler and others were more evil, but denied out to themselves. There is no escape for Richard. He is one of the first self-aware characters in the theater, and for that distinction he must pay the price." 57. His performance in the title role garnered BAFTA and Golden Globe nominations for Best Actor and won the European Film Award for Best Actor. 58. His screenplay was nominated for the BAFTA Award for Best Adapted Screenplay. 59. That same year, he appeared in the historical drama Restoration, 1995, also starring Downey Jr., as well as Meg Ryan, Hugh Grant, and David Thewlis. 60. He also appeared in the British romantic comedy Jack and Sarah, 1995, starring Richard E. Grant, Samantha Mathis, and Judi Dench. 61. In 1993, he appeared in minor roles in the television miniseries Tales of the City, based on the novel by his friend Armistead Maupin. 62. Later that year, McKellen appeared in the HBO television film And the Band Played On, based on the acclaimed novel of the same name about the discovery of HIV. For his performance as gay rights activist Bill Krause, McKellen received the Cable ACE Award for Supporting Actor in a Movie or Miniseries and was nominated for the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Miniseries or a Movie. 63. From 1993 to 1997 McKellen toured in a one-man show entitled, A Night's Out, about coming out as a gay man. Lori Weiner from the Los Angeles Times wrote, "Even if he is preaching to the converted, McKellen makes us aware of the vast and powerful intolerance outside the comfortable walls of the theater. Endowed with a rare technique, he is a natural storyteller, an admirable human being and a hands-on activist. 64. From 1997 to 1998, he starred as Dr. Thomas Stockman in a revival of Henrik Ibsen's An Enemy of the People. 65. Later that year he played Gary Essendine in the Noel Coward comedy Present Laughter at the West Yorkshire Playhouse. 66. In 1998, he appeared in the modestly acclaimed psychological thriller Apt Pupil, which was directed by Bryan Singer and based on a story by Stephen King. 67. McKellen portrayed a fugitive Nazi officer living under a false name in the US who is befriended by a curious teenager, Brad Renfro, who threatens to expose him unless he tells his story in detail. 68. That same year, he played James Whale, the director of Frankenstein in the Bill Condon-directed period drama Gods and Monsters, a role for which he was subsequently nominated for the Academy Award for Best Actor, losing it to Roberto Benigni in Life is Beautiful, 1998. 24. In 1995, he appeared in the BBC television comedy film Cold Comfort Farm starring Kate Beckinsale, Rufus Sewell, and Stephen Fry. 69. The following year he starred as Tsar Nicholas II in the HBO made-for-television movie Rasputin, Dark Servant of Destiny, 1996, starring Alan Rickman as Rasputin. For his performance, McKellen earned a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Limited Series or Movie nomination and received a Golden Globe Award for Best Supporting Actor Series, Miniseries, or Television Film win. 70. McKellen appeared as Mr. Creakle in the BBC series David Copperfield, 1999, based on the Charles Dickens classic novel. The miniseries starred a pre-Harry Potter Daniel Radcliffe, Bob Hoskins, and Dame Maggie Smith. 71. 2011, International Stardom. McKellen at the world premiere of The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King in Wellington, December 1, 2003. In 1999, McKellen was cast, again under the direction of Bryan Singer, to play the comic book supervillain Magneto in the 2000 film X-Men and its sequels X2, X-Men United, 2003, and X-Men: The Last Stand, 2006. 24. He later reprised his role of Magneto in 2014's X-Men: Days of Future Past, sharing the role with Michael Fassbender, who played a younger version of the character in 2011's X-Men: First Class. 72. While filming the first X-Men film in 1999, McKellen was cast as the wizard Gandalf in Peter Jackson's film trilogy adaptation of The Lord of the Rings, consisting of The Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, and The Return of the King, released between 2001 and 2003. He won the Screen Actors Guild Award for Best Supporting Actor in a Motion Picture for his work in The Fellowship of the Ring and was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for the same role. He provided the voice of Gandalf for several video game adaptations of the Lord of the Rings films. 73. McKellen returned to the Broadway stage in 2001 in an August Strindberg play The Dance of Death alongside Helen Mirren and David Strathairn at the Broadhurst Theatre. The New York Times theater critic Ben Brantley praised McKellen's performance, writing, "McKellen returns to Broadway to serve up an Elysian concoction we get to sample too little these days. A mixture of heroic stage presence, actorly intelligence, and rarefied theatrical technique." 74. McKellen toured with the production at the Lyric Theatre in London's West End and to the Sydney Arts Festival in Australia. On March 16, 2002, he hosted Saturday Night Live. 75. In 2002, McKellen appeared in a solo performance at the Beverly Hills Cannon Theatre, where he performed his personally written scene from a Shakespeare Annex piece. 76. In 2003, McKellen made a guest appearance as himself on the American cartoon show The Simpsons in a special British-themed episode entitled The Regina Monologues, along with the then UK Prime Minister Tony Blair and author J.K. Rowling. 77. In April and May 2005, he played the role of Mel Hutchwright in Granada Television's long-running British soap opera, Coronation Street, fulfilling a lifelong ambition, where in 2015 he was gifted a cobble from the soap's exterior set for his 76th birthday. 78 He narrated Richard Bell's film 18 as a grandfather who leaves his World War II memoirs on audio cassette for his teenage grandson. 79. McKellen with Kate Winslet at the 60th British Academy Film Awards in 2007. McKellen has appeared in limited release films, such as A Meal, which was shot in 3 weeks following the X2 shoot, 80 Never Was an Asylum. In 2006, he appeared as Sir Lee Teabing in the Da Vinci Code opposite Tom Hanks as Robert Langdon. During a May 17, 2006 interview on The Today Show with the Da Vinci Code cast and director Ron Howard, Matt Lauer posed a question to the group about how they would have felt if the film had borne a prominent disclaimer that it is a work of fiction, as some religious groups wanted. 81 McKellen responded, "I've often thought the Bible should have a disclaimer in the front saying this is fiction. I mean, walking on water? It takes an act of faith. And I have faith in this movie, not that it's true, not that it's factual, but that it's a jolly good story." He continued, "And I think audiences are clever enough and bright enough to separate out fact and fiction, and discuss the thing when they've seen it." 81. McKellen appeared in the 2006 BBC series of Ricky Gervais's comedy series Extras, where he played himself directing Gervais's character Andy Millman in a play about gay lovers. McKellen received a 2007 Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Guest Actor Comedy Series nomination for his performance. 82 In 2007, McKellen narrated the romantic fantasy adventure film Stardust starring Charlie Cox and Claire Danes. 83 Which was a critical and financial success. 84 That same year, he lent his voice to the armored bear Iorak Bjørnisen in the Chris Weitz-directed fantasy film The Golden Compass based on the acclaimed Philip Pullman novel Northern Lights and starred Nicole Kidman and Daniel Craig. 85 The film received mixed reviews. 86 But was a financial success. 87. McKellen at the 2007 BAFTA Awards. In 2007, he returned to the Royal Shakespeare Company, in productions of King Lear and the Seagull, both directed by Trevor Nunn. In 2009 he portrayed Number 2 in The Prisoner, a remake of the 1967 cult series The Prisoner. 88 In 2009, he appeared in a very popular revival of Waiting for Godot at London's Haymarket Theatre, directed by Sean Mathias, and playing opposite Patrick Stewart. 89-90 From 2013 to 2014, McKellen and Stewart starred in a double production of Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot and Harold Pinter's No Man's Land on Broadway at the Court Theatre. Variety theater critic Marilyn Stasio praised the dual production writing. McKellen and Stewart find plenty of consoling comedy in two masterpieces of existential despair. 91 In both productions of Stasio claims, the two thespians play the parts they were meant to play. 91 He is patron of English Touring Theatre and also president and patron of the Little Theatre Guild of Great Britain, an association of amateur theatre organisations throughout the UK. 92 In late August 2012, he took part in the opening ceremony of the London Paralympics, portraying Prospero from The Tempest. 93. Since 2012, career expansion. McKellen with Billy Crudup and Patrick Stewart promoting Waiting for Godot and No Man's Land, 2013. McKellen reprised the role of Gandalf on screen in Peter Jackson's three-part film adaptation of The Hobbit starting with The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey, 2012, followed by The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug, 2013, and finally The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies, 2014. 94 Despite the series receiving mixed reviews, it emerged as a financial success. McKellen also reprised his role as Eric Lehnsherr/Magneto in James Mangold's The Wolverine, 2013, and Singer's X-Men, Days of Future Past, 2014. In November 2013, McKellen appeared in the Doctor Who 50th anniversary comedy homage The Five-ish Doctors reboot. 95 From 2013 to 2016, McKellen co starred in the ITV sitcom Vicious as Freddie Thornhill, alongside Derek Jacobi. The series revolves around an elderly gay couple who have been together for 50 years. 96-97 The show's original title was Vicious Old Queens. There are ongoing jokes about McKellen's career as a relatively unsuccessful character actor who owns a tux because he stole it after doing a guest spot on Downton Abbey, and that he holds the title of 10th most popular Doctor Who villain. Liz Shannon Miller of IndieWire noted that while the concept seemed weird as hell, once you come to accept McKellen and Jacoby in a multi-camera format, there is a lot to respect about their performances, specifically, the way that those decades of classical training adapt themselves to the sitcom world. Much has been written before about how the tradition of the multicam, filmed in front of a studio audience, relates to theater, and McKellen and Jacoby know how to play to a live crowd. 98. In 2015, McKellen reunited with director Bill Condon playing an elderly Sherlock Holmes in the mystery film Mr. Holmes alongside Laura Linney. In the film based on the novel A Slight Trick of the Mind, 2005, Holmes, now 93, struggles to recall the details of his final case because his mind is slowly deteriorating. The film premiered at the 65th Berlin International Film Festival with McKellen receiving acclaim for his performance. Rolling Stone film critic Peter Travers praised his performance, writing, "Don't think you can take another Hollywood version of Sherlock Holmes? Snap out of it." Apologies to Robert Downey Jr. and Benedict Cumberbatch, but what Ian McKellen does with Arthur Conan Doyle's fictional detective in Mr. Holmes is nothing short of magnificent. Director Bill Condon, who teamed superbly with McKellen on the Oscar-winning Gods and Monsters, brings us a riveting character study of a lion not going gentle into winter. 99. In October 2015, McKellen appeared as Norman to Anthony Hopkins' Sir in a BBC Two production of Ronald Harwood's The Dresser, alongside Edward Fox, Vanessa Kirby, and Emily Watson. 100. Television critic Tim Goodman of The Hollywood Reporter praised the film and the central performances, writing, "There's no escaping that Hopkins and McKellen are the central figures here, giving wonderfully nuanced performances, on screen together for their first time in their acclaimed careers." 101. For his performance, McKellen received a British Academy Television Award nomination for his performance. 102. McKellen in 2019. In 2017, McKellen portrayed in a supporting role as Cogsworth, originally voiced by David Ogden Stiers in the 1991 animated film, in the live-action adaptation of Disney's Beauty and the Beast, directed by Bill Condon, which marked the third collaboration between Condon and McKellen after Gods and Monsters and Mr. Holmes, and CO starred alongside Emma Watson and Dan Stevens. 103. The film was released to positive reviews and grossed $1.2 billion worldwide, making it the highest-grossing live-action musical film, the second highest-grossing film of 2017, and the 17th highest-grossing film of all time. 104. 105. 106. In 2017, McKellen appeared in the documentary McKellen, Playing the Part, directed by director Joe Stevenson. The documentary explores McKellen's life and career as an actor. 107. In October 2017, McKellen played King Lear at the Chichester Festival Theatre, a role which he said was likely to be his last big Shakespearean part. 108. He performed the play at the Duke of York's Theatre in London's West End during the summer of 2018. 109. 110. McKellen voiced Dr. Cecil Pritchfield, the child psychiatrist for Stewie Griffin in the Family Guy episode Send in Stewie, Please in 2018. 111. He appeared in Kenneth Branagh's historical drama All Is True, 2018, portraying Henry Wriothesley, 3rd Earl of Southampton, opposite Branagh and Judi Dench. Peter Bradshaw of The Guardian wrote that Judi Dench and he offer solid support and added that his role is a colossal, emphatically wigged cameo. 112. To celebrate his 80th birthday, in 2019 McKellen performed in a one-man stage show titled Ian McKellen on Stage, with Tolkien, Shakespeare, others, and you celebrating the various performances throughout his career. The show toured across the UK and Ireland, raising money for each venue and organisation's charity, before a West End run at the Harold Pinter Theatre, and was performed for one night only on Broadway at the Hudson Theatre. 113. In 2019, he reunited with Condon for a fourth time in the mystery thriller The Good Liar opposite Helen Mirren, who received praise for their on-screen chemistry. 114. That same year, he appeared as Gus the theater cat in the movie musical adaptation of Cats directed by Tom Hooper. The film featured performances from Jennifer Hudson, James Corden, Rebel Wilson, Idris Elba, and Judi Dench. The film was widely panned for its poor visual effects, editing, performances, screenplay, and was a box office disaster. 115. In 2021, he played the title role in an age-blind production of Hamlet, having previously played the part in a UK and European tour in 1971, followed by the role of Furs in Chekhov's The Cherry Orchard at the Theatre Royal, Windsor. 116. 117. Since November 2021, McKellen and ABBA member Bjorn Ulvaeus have posted Instagram videos featuring the pair knitting Christmas jumpers and other festive attire. 118. 119. In 2023, it was revealed that Ulvaeus and McKellen would be knitting stagewear for Kylie Minogue as part of her More Than Just a Residency concert residency at Voltaire at the Venetian Las Vegas. 120. In 2023, he starred in the period thriller The Critic directed by Anand Tucker. The film is written by Patrick Marber, adapted off the 2015 novel Curtain Call by Anthony Quinn. The film premiered at the 2023 Toronto International Film Festival. 121. In April 2024, McKellen starred as John Falstaff in Player Kings, an adaptation of Shakespeare's Henry IV Parts 1 and 2, opposite Richard Coyle and Toheeb Jimma at the Noel Coward Theatre in London's West End, and received rave reviews, following runs at New Wimbledon Theatre and Manchester Opera House. 122. 123. The production was scheduled to run until June 22 before touring to Bristol, Birmingham, Norwich, and Newcastle upon Tyne. 124. However, during the performance on June 17, McKellen fell off the front of the stage during a fight scene and called for assistance. The performance was cancelled and the audience dismissed. He was later reported to have recovered and to be in good spirits. 125. He subsequently pulled out of the remaining West End and tour performances on medical advice. 126. McKellen is set to reprise his role as Magneto in Avengers: Doomsday, 2026. 127. Personal life. McKellen and his first partner, Brian Taylor, a history teacher from Bolton, began their relationship in 1964. 128. Their relationship lasted